G'day, Gina. Now, I have to tell you, this is going to be one of the parts, I think, where Greg and I agree. Because, like, in the first stages where it's like women can't make the first move, you're essentially, by making the first move, like, you're, like, trying to find out information. And you can glean then that information. It's sort of like a process of his, or what we can infer, because look, we're social beings, even though what I said about, like, you don't know, blah, 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 it's all, you don't even know if he exists, and that's true, but we don't even know if anything in the world exists. So in order to navigate it, we have to sort of like play by a kind of communally agreed observation of it. And in order to have any kind of interpersonal connection, you do sort of need to have some kind of acknowledgement of, or some kind of belief in them as conscious beings, not as like robots. Or even if they are robots, then your interpretation of that manifests as a conscious being. Anyway, and I think you, in that circumstance, you have the information. It's not like in the beginning you're asking them out, information, tell me, what do you think, let's get to know each other a little bit better. If, you know, there's nothing wrong with asking somebody out if you want to get to know them better. Like, who knows what the future holds. But if you're in this situation already, and like if you're not calling, like if he's not calling you and you're not happy about that, two options. You can, one, call him and be like, babe, I'm not happy. You never pay any attention to me, and then, like, you can sort of work on that. Which, by the way, even though, like, you're talking later on and cheating on people and that sort of stuff, the presumption is that you can talk about these things. Like, a guy should talk to you about what the problem is before sleeping with somebody else. So if you're, like, in a long-term committed relationship, I think, you know, before you're like, well, this is fucked, like, you know, whatever, go and sleep with someone else. I think that that should be mutual. Like, if you're in, you know, if this is a big committed relationship and there's something that you're not happy with, I think that you have a right to address that as you would want him to, if with anything else. But I don't know, like I said, like, maybe this is bad advice, because I mean, it sort of assumes rationality. Like, maybe he would get really defensive and be like, oh yeah, well, these are all the fucking things that you do that I don't like. But you're not going to deal with that ever unless you sort of do that. But then the other option is that you sort of, okay, he's not calling you, just let him go. And I think that that's a valid one too. Like, if you guys know each other a lot, man, you live in different cities. Like, when you have this idea of, like, your life and what you want and that sort of stuff, like having kids or whatever, you're going to need to live in the same city. So, I mean, I'm assuming that that's what you want. So sooner or later, you're going to have to navigate that. Like, clearly, it's not that it can't be that big of a commitment. So maybe to be like, what is this? I'm not happy with this. Because then, like, that's a sort of a conversation that implies that you're working on something, that you're not happy with something, and that you'll continue seeing each other, because that things will change in the future. I want you to do this in the future implies that there will be a future. But then on the other hand, see, all these particulars, if he's just not calling you at all, showing any interest in you, maybe you should let him go. Because what's the fucking difference? Unless you decide that this is what you want. All these things. Because, I mean, I don't know, it's only an illustrated example. It's so, I don't know what I would do. It depends what you want. If you're happy seeing him every fucking 2 weeks or however long he's there to see you, and not having him calling you, then it seems like either way something's got to change. It can't keep going like this. You either got to like call it quits, he's not interested, he's just not that into you, or you go down this path. And I gotta say, I reckon I'm with Greg. Just because you live in different cities, man. And even your goal, what you want, is not gonna manifest here as long as you live in different cities. So yeah. Anyway, that's it from me. Bye.